So I'm going to reference the article and then, you know what I'm saying?
Yo, we are back for episode 2, part 3. Listen, we did something that was real phenomenal. DA suggested we record it, earlier, but we're going to put that out there so you guys can get a taste of kind of what we chat about. It was real deep, and you guys going to find it very interesting. So, GA, Mr. Nut, don't call me broke. You can call me whatever, but don't call me broke. Listen, what are we talking about right now to finalize, man, this podcast for today?
Nah, big facts. In real talk, the truth about it is I'm actually still broke. So call me. You know what I mean? Listen, might as well keep it real with the people. Keep it real with the people.
Keep it a buck.
I'm still out here struggling in these streets, my guy. But listen, real talk. Listen, last convo, part 3, episode 2. Listen, this one is actually kind of super close to home. So I just want y'all to keep it super honest and keep it a buck with us. Article on NPR. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It says to play or not to play. Schools are wrestling with CDC's athletic recommendations. So the CDC, in short, the CDC came out with some new guidance on Friday, cautioning schools against resuming athletic activities. Obviously, what they're saying is if they can take place outdoors, that's good. 6 feet or more social distancing. But here's what we honestly got to understand, right? And they gave us some numbers, right? They said that that there's a 70% positivity rate to people who are participating in these indoor athletic functions. And that's why they're releasing this stuff. Listen, here's where I'm at, bro. Like, just real talk, true
fabricated
story.
Numbers.
I'm a guy. I literally was out at Sorrento Elementary today with the 18U, 15U, 14U kids, and listen, 7v7. Listen, my son, he did get an athletic scholarship.
Where did he go?
Eastern New Mexico. Go Greyhounds, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
Go Greyhounds. Of course.
Go Greyhounds, right? But, no, real talk. Like, they paying for his education. My son got an athletic scholarship. Where I'm at with this, though, conversation is he was going to college no matter what. But what I realized is that there's a lot of kids. When I was living in Dade County, when I was in Carroll City, when I was in New York, right? Like, just everywhere that I've ever lived. I understand that there's communities in which there are a lot of minority children who are not given that message. They're not being told, yo, if you don't get a scholarship, I'm going to put that on me. I'm going to stand on the fact that, yo, you going to college. Like, my daughter didn't get a scholarship. I'm paying $15,000 a year, Valdosta State. Whew, you know what I mean? I'm paying that because it's about my kids getting the education. It's about advancing the family name. It's about the fact that they should be one step closer to privilege than I could ever be, right?
Absolutely.
And so what my concern with these CDC guidelines, right? Listen, the COVID is real. Like, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I've seen cats with COVID and it don't look good. COVID is real. And so I'm not throwing that to the end like yo, fuck COVID and this bullshit. It's a conspiracy theory. But what I am saying is I have some real concerns that we're talking about really taking away the opportunity for these high school kids to earn scholarships in various sports. And it don't matter whether you white, black, Asian, Native American, whatever, right? Yeah. Across the board, kids are losing the opportunity to gain scholarships and gain an education, right? I know kids that ain't going to college if they're not playing football or basketball or whatever it may be. That's just the bottom line. So, Lump, we're gonna jump with you first because you the one that got the athletic scholarship out of this group right here, right? Yeah. So, listen, talk to us about the ideology of to play or not to play, and are we being bad people for saying?
Let me jump in.
Even if they get sick.
Yeah, let me jump in. So, all right. So, the CDC, I think they're full of crap. To be honest, they're fabricating numbers. Me and DA got into the whole conversation. What was the conversation we got into
about the
conspiracy theory. So,
mind you, personal opinions.
Personal opinion.
Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah, this is my personal opinion. I think it's a conspiracy theory, and I think they're fabricating numbers just so they put that barrier on kids. And when I say kids, Gary's saying black, Hispanic. I'm putting it straight black. That's just my whole thing on it. That's just my spin on it. And that's another barrier to kind of keep the black kids down at the end of the day. Because I just told DA that majority of kids that are in sports that get these scholarships, they're majority black. I didn't say all black. I said majority of black. Okay. You understand? So that's just another way to keep us down. And that's just my spin on that. You understand?
When we say these scholarships, are we talking strictly football, basketball? Are we talking lacrosse? Are we talking tennis? Are we talking golf?
We talking about all sports for the most part.
Okay.
We talking about all sports. Because honestly, I think blacks, in my opinion, dominate all sports.
Except swimming.
But I'm saying as a majority. You look at
We're
black.
talking about baseball. We're talking about softball.
Yeah, as a whole. Right. All sports. Okay. You look at as a majority, blacks dominate majority.
Just wanted to tap in on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except swimming.
Okay. All right. And I stand on that.
And I appreciate that.
Wholeheartedly.
With both feet, 10 toes down?
Man, 20. Give me 20.
20 toes?
Give me 20 toes down. No. I'm good 20 toes down. And honestly, that's just my opinion on it. And I want, if someone want to challenge me on that, let's do that. But I want to hear everybody else's. I want to hear everybody else's spin on that. Though.
Bird.
Understood. No, DA was about to tap.
DA next.
Yeah, let me tap in. And just
you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm born ready.
All right.
No, but let's talk about it. If we're talking about this pandemic, I would have that issue if we talking about no sports for the next 4 years. You know what I'm saying? Because that would put out literally 4 years. That means that if you went into school as a high school as a freshman, fuck sports because you're never playing it. You see what I'm saying? As a high schooler. You catch what I'm saying? But we're talking about, it was year one happened in 2020, right? Because that was the year when the pandemic happened. They cut down, they shut down spring sports. They shut down spring sports and they put kiboshes, or they did what they did in different states with fall sports. I don't think they're trying to do this to hold down the black athlete. You know what I'm saying? I think
why so?
Because I think that they're trying to do this so that they don't kill grandmas of all races, grandpas of all races. Because when these kids go home, they're interacting with their families, and then that's where they can spread the virus even further, deep into their families. And you had a situation, and I don't know the circumstances of it, but you don't want to have a kid to replicate the situation like Karl Anthony Towns, where damn near a good chunk of your family gets taken out due to COVID.
But
so we gotta. So it's not about. It's a big public health issue. This is a global issue. This is something that years from now we're gonna be talking about this particular virus. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they're doing this and this is a fictional thing. I think that people are being hurt. Now I understand the thrust though is, if the conversation is about making it safe and finding creative solutions so we can play the sport and keep kids safe, I'm all for it. But as a last resort, do you cancel the season or do you cancel any seasons? But the idea that they can't take the precautions that they need to protect people, and look, and the article references outdoor sports can be played. That means it puts a hurt on indoor sports like basketball, volleyball. It definitely puts a damper on them. But they got to be creative when it comes to those sports. Maybe you got to have your basketball games being played at the next biggest arena or whatever. Or you may have to just say, we got to lift that on basketball. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to get to the point where I'm saying
good point.
The CDC is making up numbers. I'm not saying that.
That's just me. I like that point. But listen, I got a whole nother segment to dive into, but I'm not going to take up much time at all. So, Bird, you want to chime in?
Definitely. On that? And I'm going to touch on both points that the gentleman spoke on. All right, so first things first, when you said what you said as far as it concerning the black community, honestly, when I read the report, to play or not to play, which is the topic of our discussion, those were some of the first things that were in my mind due to just me, myself, being a black gentleman who plays sports. Okay? Now, from where DA is touching from, saying that he doesn't think it's just a black thing, it's from all areas of sports when it comes to who can affect who. If I'm right by what you're saying.
And Bird, if I could just chime in, I do want to give NPR credit that the article was written about a white girl. So they used a white girl as the example of a white girl who was a high school senior who wasn't going to be able to play ball anymore for her senior year.
Basketball, absolutely.
Right? She wasn't going to be able to play ball her senior year, and that was going to impact her scholarship opportunities.
Absolutely.
So, listen, and here's what I understand. And based on Lump's theory, it's a mask, right? And really, the main people who are going to be negatively impacted are going to be black people.
Okay, so
within the sport of basketball, and also just pay attention. The article is talking about for places that have a high impact
Right.
on COVID. That means if you got a low impact community, you can play basketball. If you're in a place where COVID tearing y'all ass up, stay y'all ass inside the house.
now, one thing for certain, two things for sure, is not just these sports in which affect basketball, football, track. That's perfect. You know what I mean? One of the main things were what when we read the article? Wrestling, correct?
Indoor.
But wrestling was the one that gave the most cases as far as when it came to 70% of those contracted the coronavirus through this wrestling match that was 130 attendees, right?
And we also know what you got on your tights and you sweating and you breathing on each other.
Yeah,
Okay.
you face you
Yeah.
idiot.
Absolutely. That's being said, and that's agreed upon.
So, and that goes back to my point, fabricating the numbers. Like you saying in its entirety that, we just cancel all sports. But mainly the sport y'all were talking about was what?
The indoor sports.
Thank you.
No. I'm not even going to say
So
indoor
football
sports.
players, you still got breathing room.
I'm going to
No
say
pun intended.
sports that primarily affected the African American community. Since we're being point blank, period. Okay.
Point blank, period. Yeah.
Now,
No pun
with that being said, I would also want to say that they also made a good point. Each player is tested before they get into this field or arena. They're tested. They're not speaking of that. They're speaking of what happens outside of the arena, correct?
Yeah.
But that's not what we're on. Our
Correct.
stats come inside the arena.
Correct.
So at the end of the day, when it comes to these gentlemen playing, from them being positive, hell yes, they should play. Outside,
Positive with COVID, they should play.
not being positive as far as being tested, I mean as far as them being positive as a factor for them to be tested. It's a positive factor that they have to be tested before any game.
Yeah.
That's certain.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And in the article, they state that each player is tested. They say go bust your brains out on the field in the article.
Yeah, facts.
Okay.
And let's also note too, right? We got a couple of minutes left, very few. And Bird, I'm gonna let you finish up. But one thing I want to make sure we also stand on is the fact that we just had a full NBA season in the bubble, and we had an NFL season where sports were played, and there were low contraction rates, right? People were able
10,
to play, and they were able to quarantine if they needed to, right? And they came back healthy, and they were able to play. So listen, when the precautions are in place, we know that we can do this safely.
Yes.
That's what we do know.
But the whole thing about
Go
this,
ahead.
money's involved with the NFL, so they made all the necessary precautions to make sure it happened.
Absolutely.
And college.
True.
And college. And college.
Yeah.
But one question: the size of the arenas and things like this actually do matter, because in the article, we're just strictly speaking on the article, the size and the place as far as the number of people that were in it, that affected, bro. You in a whole football stadium.
Yeah.
You can social distance, my brother.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
You're in a wrestling arena. There's not much same social distancing from a high school wrestling tournament.
Yeah.
And not much ventilation either.
You understand what
Especially
I'm
if
saying?
you go Greco-Roman.
So I get what they're saying from certain aspects, but I do also understand the liability that they hold as well.
Liability is the big word, brother.
You know,
liability is the big word. So here's where we are, right? We only got 30 seconds left. We got 30 seconds left, and what I want to make sure is that at the end of the day, if we gonna stand on something, let's stand on something. So what are we standing on as we kind of bring this shit to a close, bro?
Listen, they're full of crap. You know what I'm saying? They can make the necessary precautions to make sure they play
And you
versus
stand
not
on
playing.
that.
And I stand on
you
that.
stand on that. DA,
I
what you
stand on the
standing
fact
on?
that CDC is taking intellect, is just showing intellectual leadership, and they're helping us solve the problem.
And you stand on that.
Stand on that.
I stand on the fact that a new wave is being made.
And listen, here's where I'm at, Bird. I feel you standing on that. 10 toes down, we stand on that.